Hi everyone, I'm Hayley. I'm always in the craft room, and today I wanted to tell you about one of my all-time favourite dress patterns, maybe one of my all-time favourite sewing patterns, and that is the Darling Ranges by Nielsen, from which I have made all of these items, including this one actually. It is a dress pattern, but I hate buying new patterns. I don't let it stop me if it's a pattern for a dress and I want a top. So I'm going to talk you through all of the changes I made to make such a vast array of different items. I'm going to start with the very first one, which is just the straight dress as intended. It has got a V-neck front, buttons, and a gathered skirt. They do another version of this without bust darts. These are waist bust shaping darts. They do another completely flat version with no gathered skirt, and I have not tried it. I do find I need bust shaping, so I've left that one alone. But yeah, this is my first version in a lovely viscose twill. It's quite a weighty fabric, but so super soft. I just absolutely love it for autumn and winter with black tights and some boots. But there's always a but with me, isn't there? This fabric was expensive and it has pulled. I'll try and show you here. So where the needle has gone into the fabric, even though I used a brand new Microtex needle, I've just every so often got these little pulls. Can you see where the white is showing through? It just makes a little line as it's pulled the fabric. And obviously it's printed onto a white base, so it's obvious. Now, look, I'm sure no one would notice but me, although having said that, now I'm looking at it, there's quite a few across the front here which aren't from the needle. They're just from wear and tear, I think. And you can see it's just not worn the best. This dress is, let's see, 4 years old. And I do wear it a lot, but I launder my clothes carefully. I look after them. I expect them to last a long time. And especially for a pricey fabric, I am slightly disappointed in how this one has worn. That said, I do really love it. So I made a size 8 in the shoulders and bust. I graded to a 12 at the waist. And honestly, that was as per my measurements from the pattern instructions. And I think the waist grading probably, I'm looking at this one and it's, there is a lot of fabric there, isn't there? I probably would get a more flattering fit with a straight size 8, but that's not always the aim of the game, is it? And I do love how roomy and comfortable this is. It's such a great throw on and go dress when I want to feel kind of cozy and soft. I just absolutely love it, and I have had a lot of wear out of it. One alteration I made to this on the fly was to the shoulder seam. So I made this before I realised what square shoulders I had and before I was doing that alteration as standard. So on this one, what I did, because I was just finding I was getting some gaping along here, from the shoulder seam to there, I just took a wedge out and overlocked it off. So I have altered that for subsequent versions, but it worked fine to tidy this up. Now I made this, and I'm sure some of you can relate. I got it finished, but I didn't have any buttons to go with it. But it was a new item. I loved it. I wanted to wear it. So I actually tested it first and then realised I could get it on and off over my head without using the front opening. So I sewed it closed and actually wore it probably a good few months without any buttons on it. Anyway, I eventually found buttons that I did like. They're these metal ones, which I think go really well. But it was actually kind of a happy accident because thereafter I knew I didn't have to fuss around with actual buttons and buttonholes, which I hate doing buttonholes just because so much potential to ruin a basically finished garment. So you can tell these are just sewn straight through, and that's what I've done on all subsequent versions. So that was the first one I made, a roaring success if I do say so myself, and that was one winter. Well, the following spring, a new pattern was released. And whenever I see a new pattern, instead of clicking buy, I always think, if I got something I can alter to make that, because I don't like paying for them, I don't like printing them, I don't like taping them, I don't like altering them. And so often it's actually quite a small detail that's been changed. So I'm talking about the True Bias Shelby dress. And I love the look of that. It reminded me of all the viscose rayon dresses I used to wear in the 90s. And I thought, actually, I can get a similar effect with the Darling Ranger's bodice by changing the V-neck to a scoop neck. So that's what I did on this version. So I thought the easiest way to test it would be to make a blouse rather than a full dress, just to see if my idea worked, if I'd got the shaping right and so on. And this is one of those fabrics. I know I showed you one the other week from Liberty where everyone had a different idea about what it was. What do you think this print is of? I see bats. Anyway, it was a scrap of fabric. There was hardly any left, and I thought it would be a great way to just test my idea of scooping out the bodice. And if I hold it up next to this one, you will see that all I did, no, you won't see because my arm is in the way, I marked the point at which the V crossed over, and then I literally just drew in a scoop. Simple as that. I left the waist seam where it was and just did a peplum as the skirt to make it a blouse. Again, I didn't have enough fabric for the binding, so I used, this is also actually a rayon Bemberg lining. I just did it in the pink. And I'm happy to report it worked perfectly. I really liked the scoop. Again, these buttons, I have done a real placket on all of them, but I've just sewn these buttons straight through. And can we take a moment to appreciate these buttons, because I bought these. I met a friend for coffee one day when she had a new baby. That baby is now in high school. And we went walking afterwards around some antique shops, and I bought these buttons, and they have been in the stash ever since. So I was so pleased to find such a great use for them, because don't they just go so well? Really pleased. I will say, I don't love this top. And the reason is that it's a black background, and it's a summery top. It's sleeveless, it's a lightweight challis, and I just don't like wearing a black base in summer. It's just a personal thing. I do still wear it sometimes when it's like a stay-at-home day, because it is comfy and flowy, and viscose is one of those fabrics. In colder weather, I find it soft and comforting, but in warmer weather, I find it nice and floaty. So it's a real multi-season thing for me. And I do wear it with black linen trousers or these black jeans, or even in springtime with a hot pink cardigan over the top. So I do wear it, but most importantly, we had proof of concept of the scooped neckline. So let's show you the next one I made. Once I was happy with the neckline, I set about basically recreating a Shelby dress, even down to the wooden buttons. And I absolutely love this version. So it's again the same Megan Nielsen bodice, size 8 graded to a 12. I've left these waist darts in. Again, it's a real placket, but I just put it on over the head. And look, if you're going to make this, do a test first. I think that works for me because I'm narrow of hip. So quite often I can get away without buttons or a zip. And especially since I graded out at the waist, that helps a lot, I'm sure. But you can see this fabric is a black and white animal print viscose challis. I think this was from Rainbow Fabrics. And I just absolutely adore this dress, everything about it. So the bodice is as I described. I did have to do a centre back seam. You will see there because I was short of fabric. But you know what? If you don't do things like that, you end up with huge wasteful offcuts, and I can't bear that. So in order to, conserve the world's resources, I'm happy to have a centre back seam. It really doesn't bother me, especially in a print like this. I mean, You couldn't spot it if you tried, could you? What I did differently on this one was clearly the skirt. So leaving the waist seam exactly where it was, I've added 3 tiers on. And of course, I borrowed those off a different pattern because, why keep printing things when you've already got something? It was an October dress called Hippie Maxi, which I've made once before. I just borrowed those pattern pieces to get the length right. And then I also added these little shoulder ruffles, and that is because on this version, I don't love the sleeveless look on me. I don't know why, I just don't. You will know if you've been following my channel over the summer, I've had a bit of a love affair this year with Georgia's Portfolio Mellow dress and top, which has more of a racer shape at the shoulder. It kind of cuts in. And on me, I really like that look. Somehow it makes me look kind of athletic. And if you know me in real life, you will know athletic is a word that has never, ever been used to describe me. So I love that look. But with just a straight sleeveless, I don't know. I don't like it at all. So on this one, I added just a little flounce. And this is a free pattern piece you can pick up from the Tilly and the Buttons website. And I love the effect. I like the little frill, the flounce. It's a bit more sun coverage, which, let's be honest, I always need. And on the sleeve and on the bottom, I did a rolled hem on my overlocker. And I've got to say, I'm very glad I did a rolled hem on this skirt because it's just growing. Every time I wear it, it gets longer. So I made it, it was the perfect length, wore it a few times, it grew. So I went round it again, taking a good maybe 4 centimetres off, wore it a few more times, it grew some more, did it again, and I think we're now at the point where I need to rehem it once more. I think it's just a function of this viscose being such a heavy fabric. It's just like pulling down on itself and stretching, but it hasn't affected the fit. It doesn't feel like it's getting narrower or anything. And honestly, I mean, look at it, it's pretty roomy, but it's such a lovely summer dress. Sometimes conversely, when it's really hot weather, you actually want more fabric for the swish around your legs. This is it. I absolutely love it. So we're going through all the seasons, aren't we? We started in autumn. I kind of skipped spring, but I did make a spring version, which is this blouse. So it's basically exactly the same as the dress, just with the skirt as a peplum, basically. And again, it's a rayon challis. I think this one was from Abercorn. Again, I didn't have enough fabric to do the facing, so I used a rayon Pemberg lining. I'm nothing if not consistent. Same thing with the buttons. These are just a really simple navy button that I bought on eBay years ago. I got a bag of 50 and it is the gift that keeps on giving, let me tell you, because as you probably know, I sew a lot of navy and I just always seem to need those buttons. So it's worked perfectly. It's got this dandelion print, which may or may not be upside down. Tell me what you think. I stared at it for ages and decided it was non-directional. But anyway, no one's ever commented on it, certainly. And I love this for spring and early summer with a pair of white jeans. On this one, I did not put a cuff on. And I can't remember why. I don't know if I fancied it being an open sleeve or if I didn't have enough fabric. But either way, it's the same length as the dress, just without a cuff on it. And yeah, it's such a great little throw on and go piece for the spring. So, hot on the heels of my success with this version, I decided to have a go at recreating a ready-to-wear dress I'd seen. And I was basically inspired by the fabric. If you too are a 90s girly, you will recognise this daisy print. It was everywhere back in the day. I had a beautiful dress that I absolutely loved made from this, and I was getting all nostalgic and kind of recreating it. So in this version, as an homage to that dress, I have added little waist ties because they were all the rage back in the day. And I could have added this to any of the versions, but I didn't because I was going for comfort really. But in this one, I do really like it. I just tie them very loosely because I don't want anything tight around my middle. But yeah, I do really, really love this version. It's still got the waist bust dart shaping. I was trying to do a kind of stand-up collar neckline. It did not go well. And I ended up just flipping it all to the inside, stitching it down and pretending it was always intended to be a V-neck. You can see it's not, because if you look at the back here, we've got the proper collar. So I took the collar off a McCall's pattern, and I don't know what I did wrong, but yeah, it wasn't great. So I literally, in frustration, just tucked it all in, overlocked it, pretended it was a facing. It honestly, you'll see from the footage, I think it looks fine in the wearing. But yeah, just one of those things where you try something, it doesn't work out, you make the best of it. And on this one, I extended the sleeves. So I took the sleeve pattern piece, sliced it, made it bigger for a lovely flouncy kind of short sleeve. They're almost elbow length on me. And this fabric is also from Rainbow Fabrics, and it was sold as a rayon challis. And I do find you get this with dead stock suppliers often. The fabric descriptions are not entirely accurate. And I don't know. It feels to me like a polyester, but it looks to me like a viscose. So, do they ever do a poly-viscose mix? This colouring, the way the print is taken, just makes me think it is a viscose, but in the wearing, it feels like a polyester. That said, this is such a weirdly amazing spring dress. So, you know, when you get those first days of spring, so here in the UK, it's usually like April time. Down under, I hope you're finding this interesting because you're obviously coming into spring, summer now. But those first warm days when the sun is shining and you want to crack the summer clothes out, but actually the air temperature is still pretty chilly. I love this dress for those days. And on this one, I did a gathered skirt. So this is just a full width of fabric gathered onto the waist, and then added a ruffle at the bottom. And the ruffle is 2 widths of fabric just gathered on. And you will see the main change I made on this one is to eliminate the buttons. So let's go back to the original one, which has this proper button band. And this is grown on. So it's cut onto the pattern piece. It goes like, it's shaped like that. So centre front is very clearly marked, which makes it really easy to just lay the pattern pieces on the fold and eliminate the buttons. That's all I did. I literally just laid it on the fold and cut it like that. So no buttons on this one. And yeah, as I say, love it, love the print, love the feel of it. I like the swishy nature of it, even though I do think there's some poly in it, because these sleeves are wide, it doesn't feel oppressive. Just an absolute winner, even if I did mess up the neckline. Who would ever know if I hadn't told you, eh? So, having eliminated the centre front seam, I decided to try something a little different, and I did a crew neck. So on this version, which we're back round at autumn again now, aren't we? I did the waist starts still, traced off the neckline off an October woven t-shirt I have, and then I did the normal sleeve piece, but added a ruffle, and then I did a gathered skirt and added a significant ruffle on the bottom. And this is one of my all-time favourite me-made dresses. Honestly, I always get so many compliments when I wear this. I just love it. There's one thing that I would change and I wish I had done differently, and that is I wish I had faced these flounces, because when you're wearing it, you can see the wrong side of the fabric inside. That said, as usual, I don't know if I would have had enough fabric and I just didn't think of it at the time. Again, I've done a rolled hem on this just to preserve the lovely drape. And this is a viscose crepe. Now, I have mixed feelings about crepe. I love how soft it is. I love the density it gives, the drape, the weight, how you get all of the good characteristics of viscose, but it's not as floaty as a challis, so it is more appropriate for kind of winter and autumn. But something about the texture of crepe just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Just me, or is anyone else like this? I don't know. I love the matte finish. I love the look of it. Something about the feel of it I'm not so keen on. But that said, I love this. I wear it all the time. It is an absolute favourite. So much so that I was wearing this to anything and everything, because it was one of those dresses. I wore it to an anniversary party with some really high boots and felt amazing. But I've also worn it to like a daytime lunch and still felt casual enough. It just seems really easy to dress up or down. It feels appropriate for almost every occasion. And actually, I'd wear it, say, to school with a pair of trainers when I'm helping out the teacher sometimes. So I was wearing this so very much, I decided to make it again. And I did that in this fabric. And this was my like Christmas dress last year. I don't know why, something about this print just screamed Christmas to me. I think it's the emerald green. There is a bit of purple in there, which also feels kind of Christmassy to me. And this is another Rainbow Fabrics fabric. This one I'm certain is polyester. And it's, now someone told me the difference on my last video and I've forgotten already. It's either a satin or a sateen, but it is shiny. So that marks this out as evening wear to me, or like party wear, I guess. But it's still been super useful. It's a really hefty weight, whatever it is. So it feels nice and warm in the winter. And on this one, I gathered the sleeves into a cuff because I just thought, I don't want an exact replica of this one. And somehow that is enough to make it feel different. I've still done the flounce on the bottom, which I love. And yeah, just such a useful, comfortable, yet elegant dress. You can tell I love this pattern, can't you? So that's all of those ones. The last one I have to show you is the one I'm wearing. And this is, again, a viscose challis from Rainbow Fabrics. And this one, I did do something quite different. So I wanted a blouse, but I thought, let me untuck it. I thought it would be weird if I had waist darts going into a hem. I don't know if that's weird or if that was me overthinking it, but that was my thought process. I just thought that would be strange. So I got the paper pattern piece out, traced it off, and then simply following a tutorial on YouTube, I took this dart and rotated it into a bust dart. Can you see it there? This is quite a busy print, so it's probably tricky to see. But anyway, that's what I did. I just rotated it to a bust dart. And at first I was wearing it out, and this is what's making me think maybe I don't need to grade to a 12 at the waist. But I've actually decided I much prefer it tucked in. So that is what I've been doing. And again, I used some vintage buttons on this one. They are so cute. They're like faceted domes, so they really catch the light. and I extended the sleeves to full length on this version and then gathered them into a cuff. I didn't want a proper cuff that you have to unbutton because I'm too lazy for that in the morning. So I just made sure it was big enough to go over my wrist. So I could have elasticated it or something, but I'm quite sensitive. I know. I'm quite sensitive to elastic and things. I don't like it grabbing on me. So I just did a straight cuff. And then I added a ruffle around the neckline. And I did that by cutting a very long strip on the bias, pressing it right sides out, and then I literally just overlocked it around the neckline. Can you see that? And there was, I'm trying not to yell into the microphone, there was a bit of finagling to get it all right with the flump placket, but it was one of those cases of just do it, pin it, flip it, see how it looks, baste it, try it, unpick it, you know how it goes. But yeah, I really love it, just for a little bit of extra interest around the top. So that is everything I have made from the Megan Nielsen Darling Rangers pattern. I hope you enjoyed that little look through my wardrobe, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.